Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's your boy JR Special back with another video, and I'm gonna be talking about the Nintendo NX. I mean, right now, nothing else is really going on that's of great interest in terms of consoles because there's not really much going on with the 4K PS4, PS4 Neo, whatever you want to call it, or Xbox Scorpio. So the NX is kind of the talk of the town at the moment, and Eurogamer have had posted another article, but not necessarily talking about what they think it is, but what they think Nintendo should do, or why the NX being different is a good thing. And I have to agree. I think that in terms of what I want Nintendo to actually do, I didn't want them to just make a power box like a carbon copy of what a PS4 or an Xbox One is. I mean, I think I've mentioned it or previously in a previous video, but I think that Nintendo should take some of those principles, take some of those ideas, but then add their own flair and their own innovative direction to it, which is something they always kind of do with no matter what they end up making. I think, and we're always going to go back to it until it's either confirmed or to be or not to be. I think that if Nintendo did make a hybrid console that's capable of portable gaming as well as home console gaming, that is where the innovation would obviously be. But I think what would really highlight the difference between Nintendo's console, if it does end up being called NX or something different, and the PS4 and the Xbox One, is that at the base, the very lowest foundation of what the consoles are, Xbox One and PS4 are pretty much identical. They're powerful consoles capable of playing, the latest level of AAA games at the highest possible levels that you could at this current moment in time. And then when obviously you have 4K become more prominent, you have the 4K PS4 and you have the Xbox Scorpio. So obviously they're future proofing for that, but Nintendo have to catch up in terms of being able to have a console that's capable of doing the 4K leveled gaming and all of that kind of stuff. But I think if Nintendo hit the ground running and are showing a different side of innovation in terms of saying, okay, well, we have a console that we're developing and it's capable of playing those AAA leveled games that everyone enjoys on PS4 and on Xbox One, but on a whole other level now. You can take it away from the TV; it's completely detached. And even though people go, tablet gaming and stuff like that, mobile gaming, a lot of those devices are really powerful now and are capable of showing games at a very high level. It doesn't quite match up to what we're really talking about here in terms of having games that run at 1080p 60 frames per second in your hand. I mean, that's like, no one's really been able to really do that as of yet, and to have such a huge game library too. So I think that if Nintendo could probably attempt that, that would be something that would really put them ahead in terms of trying something different, not just doing what everyone else is doing. I think that Nintendo should really have a console that sets itself aside, which is something that they've always done. And it didn't necessarily pay off with the Wii U, because I think the Wii U, a lot of people were expecting it to be very close to what the PS4 and Xbox One was going to be, and we all had an idea of what Sony and Microsoft were going to do anyway. So when they did announce it, it was kind of not really a surprise. It was more of an expectation, and that they'd fulfilled it. And everyone was like, oh, well, that's good. I'm going to be able to play all of those, great level AAA games and have loads of different variety. But Nintendo had to be very self-sufficient with the Wii U. They had to be able to have a great first-party lineup, which they did have, and a lot of great second-party games and a lot of games that were showcasing what the Wii U was capable of in terms of indie games and stuff like that. I think that it did work, but I think the Wii U worked, but I think obviously in terms of sales it didn't. So I think Nintendo need to be able to create a console that's going to be able to have the same level of kind of innovation, same level of kind of intrigue, but it has to have the sales behind it too. So that's where you have to find the balance. I think by having a console that's capable of running these AAA games at such a high level and such a high standard, but being able to take those away or detach yourself away from the TV, I think that's where the key of that innovation and intrigue lies, and that they're completely blurring the lines now between home and portable console gaming. Because I mean, you have things that you could technically do that with. Like even Chromecast, you could cast things onto your TV. You can use Steam. Steam have a system that works that way, but it's not quite the same in a way that you couldn't necessarily take unless you have a laptop. But it doesn't really count. That's why I think Nintendo are in such a great place, because they're the only gaming company really that can put together portable and home console gaming in a completely unique way. Seeing that they've been in the portable gaming market for so long now, and they've had such a great success with it, kind of untouchable in that aspect. So for them to be able to implement all of that great success that they've had and all of that great knowledge that they've built up over the years, and to be able to apply it to the home console that they're creating, and to be able to also on top of that be able to mirror what their competitors are capable of doing in terms of strength, in terms of game libraries, particularly third parties, I think Nintendo would be in a really great place. So yeah, it still remains, we don't really know what the NX is going to be completely, but if it is to be believed it's a tablet type control pad, that's fair enough. I mean, I don't necessarily know if I completely believe the whole idea that the control pad will have detachable sections that come in and out of the tablet section of the control pad. If they did have another tablet type control pad, I think it would just be more like a refinement of the gamepad, as opposed to being a completely modular type design. I think that would be a little bit too fiddly, perhaps. I mean, maybe I don't think that they would want to really repeat what they did with the Wii in terms of like with the nunchuck and how you had the Wii remote, and it was kind of, yeah. I don't really know if Nintendo would really do that again so soon. So I don't necessarily think that's completely likely. I mean, I think if they did, like I've said before, if they did have a tablet screen or probably going to make it touchscreen, but it needs to have the higher level resolution, I think, to really make it worth it. If you're going to have a console that's being able to play all these high level games at such a high frame rate, you need to have a screen that can mirror that. So I think that, in all honesty, different is always Nintendo's option as opposed to being their best option. I think Nintendo have always wanted to be different, and that's good. I mean, it's not. That's why I didn't really have much of an issue picking between the PS4 and the Xbox One, because they were so similar. I was thinking to myself, well, it only really comes down to games that I like, and then I ended up picking the PS4, and I don't really miss not having an Xbox One. Like I've said, people that do have Xbox One, I know that there are great games that they're enjoying, but I don't feel like, oh, kind of need to buy an Xbox One. Whereas with Nintendo, when they come with another console, I feel like, yeah, should probably pick that up. I know that there's going to be a lot, and I think that's another thing that Nintendo can really use to bolster their claim, to be able to say that, we're creating something that's completely different. It's their game library. It's completely unrivaled. Like I've said before, have your well, they're already doing it with Breath of the Wild, having that be a launch title, and just based on what they showed at E3, I think that's going to really help to showcase what potential the NX will have if the game runs like that on the Wii U, and the NX is going to be hopefully a lot more powerful. Then it not necessarily will have a graphical boost, but if it's able to be taken away from the TV, then just wow, that would be really, really amazing if Nintendo can show that running completely smooth. I think it will almost look unreal in a lot of ways. I think if Nintendo showed, with a lot of this strong third party support that they seem to be gaining now, they're able to showcase a few of their third party titles running separately away from the console. I think, or from the TV rather. I think that would be really, really just. I think that would kind of revigorate a lot of people's hearts and minds to Nintendo, to say, well, they really are giving us something that's completely unique compared to their competitors. I think that's where Nintendo can really, really just shine in being separate, being different from Sony and Microsoft, because it's kind of just like with Sony and Microsoft, it has to be your preference as a gamer, first of all. So if you like Xbox community or you like PlayStation's community, that has a lot of factor in it. But then a lot of the games are very similar, or almost, well, they're identical because a lot of them are multi-platform. So it's kind of like, well, don't really need to look that deep into the difference between the two to be able to make a choice. And if you have enough money, like I know a few people that do, they just buy both because it's just like, well, I'll just have both. Why choose one? But with Nintendo, I think you look to buy their consoles for a different reason, and I think Nintendo can give people a different reason, not necessarily the classic reason that a lot of skeptics use. Or it's for the young kids and for families and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it probably will have games that are very family friendly, but I think Nintendo don't even need to bother marketing that fact, showcasing that fact to anyone, because everybody knows that that's how they are. I think that Nintendo should definitely showcase the power of the NX, and that it's capable of, if this is true, which it probably is, let's be honest, but if it is capable of having you play AAA leveled 1080p 60 frames per second leveled gaming away from the TV seamlessly, smoothly. I'm not talking just away from the TV in terms of like the gamepad. You're in the same room, like you're outside of the room, you're outside of your house even. If it shows that level of power, and even I think if it can do that, and then, because I think initially a lot, when I heard the rumor about it being a cartridge based system, a lot of people are why are they going back to cartridges? That's so archaic. But I think if Nintendo can showcase what these games are capable of, people won't even bother looking over. They'll almost overlook the fact that it's a cartridge. Yeah, Blu-rays are fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But like we all know, if you have a PS4 or an Xbox One, I'm not entirely sure, but I know with my PS4, every game you play, you have to install it, and your hard drive just dies in no time with all these huge game installs you have to do. So if Nintendo can completely bypass that, there are loads of intricate things that can use as sell points with the NX, I think. And I'm just looking forward to whatever it is. I think Nintendo need to kind of be a little bit, well, they don't. I'm not to rush them, but I think that they should definitely start laying the groundwork for an unveil soon, because I think a lot of people are starting to get quite hyped again, I'd say. So that was it for this video. You know what to do. Hit me up in that comment section. Let me know what you think. Share, like, and subscribe and all that beautiful stuff. And I'll catch you on the next video. It's your boy Jasper saying, player up.